say it this way.
So, where do you find your inspiration?
Where do I find my inspiration? What do you mean? Because
what inspires you to write, or what inspires you to? Because from the profile of what you've told me is that you go from voicing vision to student leadership, and then you go to 50 Strong, 50 Wise, and you've published 2 books, which is a very, very brilliant resume for a young man such as yourself. So I want to know, what is this that you take? What food do you eat so that I could also eat this food, or people out there could also consume the same stuff? Where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, as most people would say, they get the inspiration from God, which is true. God is the the definitive of energy to me. It feed me some knowledge, and I gain that to express it. But most of my inspiration comes from people. Not only people who have gone past becoming ancestors, but people who are now living. You know what I mean? And I find my inspiration from the normal day life. To be driven. My past work or my present work. Like I'll take a moment out of this interview. I'll be able to write something about it. Just to describe that as one of my motivation. But for my book, the Desert Rose, when I was writing it, one of the most motivation that came to me was a poem by Tupac. The poem by Tupac is titled "The Rose That Grew from Concrete." And if you can look at both the Desert Rose and then you look at the rose that grew from concrete, it gives you an in-depth meaning of what those two stand for. You know what I mean? A rose, you know what I mean, cannot grow at all at a desert. Yeah. No matter how far you push to do it. I mean, it depends. If you're in that surrounding, you're nurturing it, it might grow. You know what I mean? So you're looking at the rose that grew from concrete. You know what I mean? And the rose that grew from concrete takes the force to crack the concrete, to become something. You know what I mean? To show that beauty they possess. So by taking that side and you're looking at the rose that grew from concrete and looking at desert rose, you know what I mean? And you're seeing that this rose that's growing from the desert will have power, will have strength, but it needs someone to nurture it. Just like how the rose that grew from concrete has to be nurtured to be burst out.
Are you that rose that grew from concrete? What is the story behind the desert rose? What was the journey like writing that book?
I mean, the journey writing this book, I felt like I was and still am that desert rose, that individual that has to be burst out of the concrete, that individual that has to be, a manifest from the sand of that desert to become something, to the level where I need to be. So yeah, I feel like that's what I've become. That rose that grew from different levels, but find a what you call it, an injection, to be alive. Find that injection to be alive, and also to grow in it. With people surrounded, being around, positive people, or getting the strength from, past experience, like my family. I'm not always surrounded by my family, but I always have the strongest passion for them because I believe in the core values of family. And that's why I believe that an individual has to grow away from their family to become what they need to be. You can't grow in your family being that, they will always petty you. They always feel like you need to be nurtured. But that is true at some point. You need to be nurtured. But if you grow by yourself, you learn to pay your own way. That when you have your child, you get to teach your child the same lessons, but yet still bring them in. And I felt that I was that rose, at some point that was not nurtured, but I find ways to inject myself, to nurture myself out of the concrete and also out of the desert.
Alright, that's very interesting too. I was reading one of your poems in the Desert Rose that was describing a lady, and I was actually wondering.
Sally.
Yeah, that is the title. It is called Sally. That is a very good poem, actually. I love that one. And I wanted to know, how did you come about to learn how to put words that describe, you know, a lady in such a way, such as Sally?
Well, for those who probably out there that don't know who Sally is, or maybe Sally is not a female of mine in the past. It's a imaginative, you know, woman that
I want to meet Sally.
I'm sure he would. She's a gorgeous woman, isn't she? Right?
Yes.
Sally is described as, you know, very, you know, mature woman, very developed woman. You know, so Sally is a very interesting woman that I've seen a lot of women that, you know, I've encountered in terms of, you know, relationship. So, you know, it's like I take a bit from everybody, from every, you know, rather sour relationship or sweet relationship. You know, regardless of it, you still mature and grow. So I took that side of Sally and I said, you know what? Why not wrote a poem, you know, or write a poem that can give you that spunk in your mind, you know, make you imaginate what, you know, what your Sally could be. You know,
yeah,
so
you know, I get it now. If these poems and what you write is actually coming from your life, this means that you must have gone through some loss and some sadness and some, you know, love, because there is a mixture of emotion in these two books, The Desert Rose and Tears of My Father.
Definitely. I feel like over the years I have grown, you know, both physically and mentally. You know what I mean? Maturity as well. I feel like, you know, growing up, you know, it's like, you know, reaching a new level in your life. And one thing about humanity or human, as human, we need to grow. We need to change ourselves. You know what I mean? Just because we stay in the same phase, we can't stay in the same phase forever. We got to turn the page and become something else. You know, I feel like, you know, from the tears of my father, I was, you know, that young man growing up. You know what I mean? Don't know what's going on surrounding and becoming more